Good afternoon. This afternoon we're talking about textiles and digital textile printing. I have two exceptional guests with me this afternoon. The first is the managing director of a company, Soyang Europe. He started the business 10 years ago. It's now grown to be around about a £10 million turnover. And the company's strapline is every surface covered. So would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Mark Mashta. Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Have a seat. Nice to see you, Mark.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I heard something about Soyang Europe recently, that you've got over 1.5 million metres of stock in your warehouse. What's that all about?
That's right. Our facility just north of Manchester is 6,500 square metres.
Wow.
In size. And we keep approximately 1.5 to 1.7 million square metres of inventory at any one time. Depending on the time of year, spikes in business, materials ranging from very narrow width all the way up to 5 metres wide.
Right.
And the vast majority of it coming out of our own production in Asia.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that's Soyang Technologies, is it?
That's right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Soyang Technologies is a company that is approximately 13, 14 years old now.
Yeah.
And personally I've had an association with them for 12 years, which is when we founded the company not 10 years ago.
Ah, right. Okay.
And initially we were importing PVC products for banner, mesh, blockout materials, those types of things.
Yeah.
The commodity products for the silkscreen and digital industry at the time. So we started very small with just 3 people, and now we have a staff of 21.
Wow.
And our own fleet of transport.
Okay, that's something else, isn't there, really?
Yeah.
So when you started the business, you were more into the sort of the grand format, wasn't it? The sort of 5 metre wide type companies and those, because that's a niche market for you, isn't it?
It is. The big arena for us really, and the customer base where we get the volume for the factory is definitely with the 3.2 and the 5 metre wide printers.
Yeah.
So initially with PVC it would be building wraps, billboard, banner type production.
Yeah.
But obviously things have moved on now, and in our production we're a lot more diverse. So we have 5 production lines now out in China.
I see from the entranceway you've got this massive floor graphic there as well. So that's not quite textile, is it? But that's another string to your bow.
That's something that we put into the range about 3 or 4 years ago now.
Right.
Everybody knows that product as G-Floor.
Oh, right.
And it's quite a unique product. It's an extruded PVC.
Yeah.
Which you reverse print and back up in white ink. There's only one manufacturer in the world, and we're the distributor for Europe.
Yeah, nice position.
Yeah,
to be
lovely,
in. Yeah.
lovely. But it gives printers added value because the G-Floor type product really is for the commercial flooring sector.
Yeah.
Where you can produce bespoke floors by digital printing, which for printing houses they can have some nice margin on that type of product, because commercial flooring is a totally different sector to the standard digital printing market.
So where did the soft signage side of things start to come into play?
Soft signage really has been very popular in continental Europe, with particularly in the German market.
Yeah.
Mainly for exhibition graphics and retail graphics. And in the UK now, for the last 3 or 4 years, it's really started to build a lot of momentum.
Okay.
So obviously different type of ink methods. Printers are having quite a learning curve when they start to print textile, because it's not an exact science compared to printing PVC medias.
Yeah, sure.
And it's more than one process. You're not just printing, you're fixating, you're sewing, which not many printers, let's face it, knew how to do it. So a massive learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, the traditional sign maker usually has got some sort of sewing machine where he's running up banners and hanging banners and putting a dowel in there and that sort of thing. But, textile is, flags and those kind of things. That's really what soft signage is and everything else.
It is. I mean, historically there's always been, printing of flags, but as you can see from looking around Sign and Digital, nearly every exhibition stand is using textile now, where years ago it would be, you'd be wood, you'd be painting, you'd be sticking vinyl to it. Is it
less expensive than the PVC, or is it just better, or what?
No, it's more expensive, so there's added value there. But the beauty of printing textile is that it doesn't get damaged. Soft signage you can send out to a client in a jiffy bag. Anybody can fit it into an aluminium frame. So it's a very easy installation, and it's been a real boom for the digital printing industry. Where previously people would print onto rigid substrate, which might get bent and broken on the way to store. Now you can send a pack of prints in, and the visual merchandising team can do all the fitting very, very easy into existing boxes.
Do you supply the framework as well for the textiles?
We don't.
No,
we don't. We're a media supplier, 100% media supplier. And if we were to do frames, it does cross over with some of our customer base, so we would be competing. So we prefer to keep away from
Nobody wants to do that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, Joe was visiting your stand earlier, so we've got a clip there. So why don't we take a look at it?
Yeah, great.
I absolutely could not walk past this stand. You can see Blue Butterfly flooring, you can see So Young Europe, but what I see is this magical wonderland that I'm standing on here on this stand. Emily, come here. Emily is the artist that has created this beautiful flooring, and also in the entrance to the show as well, there are a couple of beautiful artworks there as well. Now, Emily, tell me how you do this. This is amazing.
Basically, I take pretty much all the photographs myself. So all the floors are made to order. It's all made on Photoshop. Each image is cut out separately and then layered. So each file is huge, but it does also mean that I can print enormous floors without losing the resolution when you blow up the images, because they're made out of so many different separate images.
So basically, it doesn't matter whether I'm a consumer at home or whether I'm in an industry provider. You can shops, anything. You can kind of bespoke. I can come to you with an idea. You then go out and take the photographs of that idea, then put that together. Wow. What's the best thing you've done?
Oh, I think in some gents' toilets in Somerton House Hotel up in Scotland, where I did a lift shaft, which is actually, if I can show you, I don't know if you can get that on film. This one here. Can you see?
That's a lift shaft. That's fabulous, isn't it?
To have that in the gents' toilets in a hotel. So I wondered what would happen when they kind of beat to the bar and had a few drinks.
So Emily, just sorry, I'm just trying to get that on shot. Just we might be able to sort of pop that on later. So let me just say that you don't just do floors though, do you? You do walls as well, because you can see behind me.
That's it. So these are some of the walls that I've done for So Young Europe here, as you can see. And what I did here, so I had the same sort of 3D effect where I used paper that was torn, and then you've got the big landscapes behind it. But pretty much again, as long as I can photograph it, then you can have kind of what you want. So all the images for the floor, for the walls, are all taken from the side, and all the images for the flooring are all taken from above. So you really get this sort of effect that you're standing on it. And the great thing about the floors recently is that now that we've got G-floor, we've got a very commercial grade flooring. So it means that I've been doing nurseries, hotels, and it's incredibly durable and hard wearing, and great for commercial applications.
So what is the lifespan of a floor like this?
Oh, the lifespan of a floor like G-floor, it depends on the footfall, but I know that they put them down in car showrooms and so on like that, so that it is incredibly durable, but I'm not too sure on the technical side of it.
So tell me about the collaboration with So Young Europe as well.
So Soyang Europe, I was introduced to them probably about a month ago, and my printer, Vinyline, that I use, basically introduced me, and they sort of felt that my work was really, really kind of innovative, and I think for them it was really great to be able to see what the customers are using actually their products for, and so that's when they approached me to come and do their stand, which I've really enjoyed doing.
Fantastic, and I suppose moving forward in the future to then be able to work with So Young Europe's customers to then be able to put your fantastic artwork and floors and walls out there to the bigger environment.
That would be absolutely fantastic.
Well, get a research, go and see So Young Europe, go and see Blue Butterfly Flooring, absolutely fabulous. I think I'm hooked.
Thanks, Joe. That's a fantastic clip. That's really interesting. You know.
Yeah, she's a very clever girl.
How did this relationship with Vinyline start then?
Vinyline are one of our existing customers,
Yeah.
and they really bought into the idea of G-Floor.
Yeah.
They have the right printing technology to use that product.
Right.
Because we generally recommend that somebody has a hybrid type machine, so a real fed flatbed type machine, because it is, a very thick material,
right?
And it's not the easiest product to print on,
Okay.
but the benefits are very good once people have learned how to use it.
Right.
As Emily rightly said, it's a durable commercial flooring. The manufacturer's warranty is 5 years on the product. And it's very technical. Any printer that we deal with, we have to send them all the information about how you should store the material, climatize the material, the best ways to print it and the best ways to fit it.
Okay.
So we have a complete video that anybody can ask for. We send it to them before they even try it.
Emily's doing some amazing things, though. I mean, and will that feed into working with the sort of textile, soft signage for the wall decor and so forth?
Yeah, it goes to prove that the imagination is limitless, really, and you can take a piece of white textile or a clear piece of PVC and make something absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it really is stunning stuff.
It's stunning stuff. Yeah. Material is only as good as your artwork, and somebody like Emily is I think quite unique, and that's why we hooked up with her.
Yeah.
Because we thought, well, why show the same old type of imagery, just saying to people what we do. Let's show them application.
Yeah.
People see white pieces of PVC, but they don't really understand what they can do with it and how good they can make it look.
Well, let's face it, printer machines are printer machines, aren't they? But applications are what inspires.
That's it.
That's
it. Absolutely. We have a team of salespeople, and they're specialists in different type of medias, and they try and guide the printing houses as to the best product for the right application, to make sure that they can produce some nice product coming out the doors.
So from the soft signage perspective, is there more room in this market? Are there untapped areas, or where's it going to end up, you think?
The soft signage market is still ramping up. We're still seeing considerable growth.
Right.
Obviously, exhibition is a gigantic part of soft signage.
What sort of revenue percentage is it for you?
If we went back about 4 or 5 years ago, textile would only be about 10 to 15% of our revenue.
Yeah.
These days, I would say it's probably about 50% and growing.
Wow. So you're really specialising.
That's right. So we have 3 production lines now, just producing textile.
Yeah.
So we're dipping and heat setting polyester fabrics, which you'll see a lot around the exhibition, and we're also coating textile. So light box fabrics, black back textiles, all this kind of thing, which being used in high volumes now across Europe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's popular as well in the theatre world, isn't
Yes.
it? Because there are companies I know in Sweden that are doing it just for backdrops
That's right.
and these kind of things.
That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And the theatre's nice, museums, that type of thing, car showrooms now. The retail sector. You walk down the high street, and I would say every retailer is using textile in some form now.
Really?
For imagery,
Okay.
in light boxes, printing, seamless wall covering for walls, all different applications.
And that was in retail was predominantly the domain of backlit PVCs and things, wasn't it?
That's
Films.
right.
Yeah. So
That's right.
is it an environmental consideration? I mean, there's an argument about environment, and I don't want to get drawn into that, but every time people talk about the environment with any kind of materials, it's really client driven, isn't it?
That's right.
But
that's right. The clients prefer the textile because you can recycle it.
it's recyclable.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to dispose of polyester than it is of cardboard or PVC sheet.
Yeah.
There are recycling codes for polyester and places where you can send it after use to give it a second life. So we're actively trying to help customers as well,
Yeah.
telling them how to have the material recycled.
And are you identifying any trends in the market, Mark?
The biggest trend for us at the moment, I would say, is towards backlit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, illuminated light boxes,
Yeah.
which is mainly retail.
Okay. So
The
it's
vast
coming
majority
back to
going
that,
into
yeah.
retail.
Yeah.
There's some very big retail clothing companies that you can go and have a look in and see an awful lot of textile prints,
Right.
which is showing models wearing the clothing or whatever. Or
I was interested when we were putting together the Sign Digital Explains guides. Epson work very closely with colleges and so forth,
Yeah.
and there's the Richard Quinn design collection now that he prints on his textile printer.
Right.
And it's all of this sort of bespoke clothing.
Yes.
And that's all a new market. And I
Yeah.
guess that's something for our next guest, really. And
Okay,
I'd like
great.
to get him up.
Interesting.
My next guest is a man who started out really at the beginning of digital printing for textiles. He was the first person 10 years ago to be working with Mimaki printers for textile printing when he was at the Viella Works, and he's today Hybrid Services Textiles Product Manager, Brett Platt. Please welcome Mr. Platt. Hey, Brett.
Hey, Mark.
Now, as usual, I always muller my guests' introductions, but it was Viella, was it? Is that the pronunciation?
CV on Furnishings, Coats Viella, yeah.
Yeah,
but 20-something years ago.
Was it 20?
So
Sorry.
it was a
I'm
long
flattering
time
you, dear
ago.
boy.
Exactly. I don't look that old.
How did you get into How did you get into that?
My background was originally design. I was a colourist for many years, but we used at CV Group, originally it was conventional, screen printing.
Screen printing, yeah.
But very, very quickly we got into digital for doing sampling, strike-offs, doing multiple colourways, and it became an easy way to do samples for our customers to make design selections.
Right.
And we use digital to do that. So literally 20-something years ago, we bought our first Mimaki printer.
Yesterday we were chatting textiles with Magnus Meal from RA Smart.
Yeah.
The MIG. And he tells me that he was one of the first people to ever really start developing the Mimaki product.
I think he probably was. And to be honest, very soon after me joining CV, we bought probably one of our first or second machines through RA Smart.
Oh, right. So there is a
So I know him very well. So yeah, we bought Mimaki products 20 plus years ago.
Okay.
Originally for doing strike-offs, but then for doing short runs,
Right.
and sampling. And it changed the way we did things, to be honest.
Go on.
Originally, with screen printing, you had to make numerous screens, very expensive, and you may not get a selection.
Yeah.
Whereas with digital, going back 20 years ago, we're actually trying to imitate screen printing.
Right. And were you printing digital direct to the fabric?
Correct, direct onto cottons.
Okay, that's not an easy task, is it?
It wasn't back then.
Yeah.
Reactive printing.
Yeah.
20 odd years ago, so you still had to print it, steam it, wash it.
Oh, really?
Before you could show your final sample. But yeah, it changed the way we did things. Before it was a 1 meter panel maximum, a square. As soon as we bought our first digital machine, it meant we could do roll to roll. So we could print a length. Admittedly, 20 years ago, it was 1 meter an hour on a TX1, which was back then. But that changed the way everybody worked in the industry.
What are we up to now?
200, 300, 400 plus.
Wow.
So, yeah, things have moved on a little in
Just a bit.
in the few years that we've been doing it. But yeah, then I from working from CV, I then went to work for a supplier. I worked for RA Smarts for
I had no
for
idea.
10 years. So selling, I bought the first Mimaki for sampling,
Right.
and then I was installing and teaching people how to use Mimaki machines,
Yep.
going out into retail, into education, into commercial places.
Oh, okay. Well, I had no idea that you
So,
worked for the MIG.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say I know him very well.
He'll be pleased to hear that. So how did you end up at Hybrid Services?
Okay, I've known Hybrid probably longer than I've known, or as long as I've known RA Smarts.
Right.
Because, like I said, we bought our first Mimaki.
Yeah.
And Hybrid then were the ones coming out, looking after and servicing our machines at CV Group. So
Right.
between RA Smarts and Hybrid, we've had a connection and a relationship with them for a long time. So yeah, I've known Hybrid as long as I've known RA Smart, so
Okay.
20 years.
Clear something up for me, okay? I always get confused when we talk about the type of textile products that we print on. I know there's dye sublimation systems, and then there's direct to, and then there's a million inks, okay, which gets very confusing. And have you got a simple way of actually explaining that to somebody?
I can make it simple. It isn't simple,
Yeah.
but I can. But there are basically a couple of different ways of doing it.
Right.
So man-made is the easiest way to start.
Okay.
So man-made, as in polyester, you would do with sublimation. Mm-hmm. So sublimation traditionally you print onto a paper first of all, and then heat transfer onto the polyester.
So that's heat transferring either in a rotary calendar
Or a flatbed.
or a flatbed
Correct.
heat press.
Depending on what your product is.
Right.
Most people would have started originally with a small flatbed, but now the bigger guys are using
Yeah.
3 meters, 5 meter wide for
really?
transferring.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the soft signage guys here will be doing direct. So they take the paper out of the equation and print directly onto the polyester. But you still need to heat set it.
Okay. So it doesn't make it too easy to understand, but
Moving on though, then there are other options.
Ah.
When you start talking about naturals,
right. Tell me about that.
which is more where I came from, really, from
Okay.
from an interiors point of view.
Right.
We printed on cottons and linens. So cottons and linens, you would traditionally printed with reactive dyes. So coated fabric, you would print it, you would then have to steam it, and then have to wash it before you can make your final
It's a lot of
application.
processes.
But then the next step, which everyone is trying to kind of push, and we're there, and people are doing it very, very successfully, is pigment printing
Okay.
onto natural fabrics.
And this is a new thing, isn't it?
It's been around for a while, but the issue with pigment is it's a thicker ink. So getting a thick ink through a print head was an issue.
Of
so
course.
we needed the ink technology to catch up with the digital technology.
Right.
So we're pretty much there, and the people out there being very, very successful in the interiors market, printing direct to cottons, direct to linens with pigment inks. You would then just fix with heat. You would bake it, and you could go away and make your products.
So tell us about the sort of customers that are really coming to market today. You know, Who are the people that are knocking on your door and saying we're interested in textile printing?
It's very varied.
Is it?
It's a huge market. One of the big sectors, obviously, like you'll see around Sign UK, the promotional and advertising is massive.
Yeah, which is Mark's area,
I agree exactly with Mark.
All man-made.
All
product.
polyester
Right.
or on vinyls.
Yeah.
But basically, probably nearly every stand, if you look around, will have something made of a fabric, a flexible rather than a rigid.
Right.
Doing their signage because it made life easy.
Fantastic.
Transportation, if nothing else.
Yeah.
You don't have a huge big board that you're printing onto, which is expensive to transport, can get damaged. And like Mark was saying, it's you can fold it up or you can post it out in a jiffy bag.
Textile doesn't get travel sick.
Yeah, you can iron it.
Did you have to iron it though?
Well,
when it comes
maybe.
out of the bag?
No, because a lot of the textiles have got very good crease recovery.
Really?
And you're generally stretching into a frame. And as soon as you stretch into that frame, the creases are coming out.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Fantastic.
And that's why sublimation is so good. Because obviously your textile still remains very, very soft.
Well, we got a clip. Joe's been
Very
visiting
good.
your
She
stand.
was earlier on.
Let's have a look at that, shall we?
I have found the smiliest guy here on site. That is definitely for sure. Malcolm, you've just saved the day. He's from Hybrid and he's going to take me through exactly what's happening with the textiles here.
I certainly am.
Right, okay, so where do we start then, Malcolm?
Very simple process. The first stage is to actually get your design onto the computer. So you just basically download it onto this, which is called Rasterlink. And then this shows you what you're going to actually get printing on the system.
If I could choose, can I choose the man there? Is that okay?
Well, all these will actually print. We'll go with the lady. So it's simple as you go into this little menu here, which, look at that, brings up your man, and then you just print that onto the printer. Now, this is a dye sublimation printer. So effectively, what the process is that you print with a dye sublimation ink onto a dye sublimation paper, which is a self-absorbent paper, looks very dull and very uninspiring. Bit of magic with this. When you actually get this and you cut it up, you can then transpose this picture onto different types of media. So that could be mouse mats, it could be cushions, t-shirts, bags, anything you want it to be. So the world's your oyster. Let me show you.
But the colours in this is just, they're so different. Oh, I can't wait for the magic. This is exciting.
This is basically a heat press, and the nature of the print is that where that ink has gone into the paper, when you eat it, it turns into a gas, and it actually magnetically goes onto a polyester product. So that ink goes into this. Let me show you. So we'll do Mamaki. So we take this, which is very unexpiring, we put it onto there like that, close the lid of the heat press, and this now counts down for 42 seconds. So I hope we got long enough, at a temperature 200 degrees, and that's heating the media up, and that is then going to actually go onto a guide. We'll come back to that. I'll show you this. So this is the end product. So you've got your bag like that, and on the back of it, that is a lady. So all the colours are generated and become more vibrant when you actually eat them up and you transfer to the garment.
And I presume that you can just print and go. Thank you very much, Malcolm. See you later.
Thanks, Joe. That was an interesting dem, wasn't it? That really popped.
Absolutely. Malcolm doing a great job there.
So with the dye sublimation printing, it's printing onto paper, and that's why when I wander around the show and I see dye sub printers, I sometimes think, that's not a very good image in there.
Yeah,
It's
quite.
It's because
At the minute, the paper is literally just a carrier.
Yeah.
So it's there just to hold the image down, hold the ink there, and it's the chemical
So
reaction.
it's a chemical reaction,
Yeah.
and it penetrates into the textile fabric.
Correct. So dye sub is not a surface print.
Right.
The ink under the heat turns into a gas and bonds into the polyester molecules.
Okay.
So you're dyeing the fabric, not a surface print.
Right. Now we've got a lot of guys at the show that have all of these different systems. I've seen direct garment systems with heat presses going on. I mean, that's not your field, is it?
Unless it was a T-shirt, you could have done a dye sub print
Can you?
and printed onto a T-shirt.
How would you do that? Would you create a bit like as he was showing with the Mimaki
Yeah,
thing.
it was a bag that
the
Malcolm
yeah?
was doing, but you could have a made T-shirt as long as it's made of polyester.
Polyester
So
is
that's
the
the key. So sublimation only works to polyester or high polyester content.
Okay.
If it was a cotton, then you would be printing it directly onto a roll of cotton, for example, and then making your product afterwards.
Right. Okay. So the key thing really is what's coming up. What are the kind of trends in the market for textile printing?
There's a big move. So sublimation. Okay, we've talked about sublimation being used into soft signage, but that in itself is literally one small area.
Right.
A massively growing market, and again, it coming not just from ink technology, but from fabric technology. So fabrics now are changing, not just for soft signage and display, but you can now buy a polyester that looks like a cotton, feels like a cotton, looks like a linen, or a velvet, or a silk.
Yeah.
So from the interiors market, they're moving into sublimation. So for if you were talking about contracts, a lot of hotels, hospitals would use probably polyesters for their interior decor, whether it be curtains. Big advantage of polyesters, you can buy them that are inherently FR. So you print it, you press
FR?
it. Flame retardant.
Thank you. I wondered what you were talking about. I thought, what's he saying to me?
It's it means that it becomes very easy from that point of view. Fashion.
Yeah.
A massive growing market for sublimation. Again, it's easy, it's quick, and there's no washing involved. So a growing sector is all of those sectors.
And sportswear, which is what they call technical garments, is sublimation, isn't
Usually
it?
a lot of sportswear, again, is sublimation.
So cycling clothing,
exactly,
and those sorts
football,
of things,
rugby,
yeah.
any sort of sports you can think of.
So when I'm watching, Real Madrid last night, are they wearing polyester shirts?
They are.
Why aren't they overly sweating?
Fabric technology again.
Wow.
High wicking fabrics, breathable fabrics. So the fabric technology means that it's now not so bad to wear a polyester product.
Yeah, because once upon a time you wouldn't
want to wear a polyester
no.
product, but now it's probably cooler to do that than wear a cotton, because it's breathable.
So the interiors market is really starting
to grow quite rapidly, really.
Yeah.
Not just sublimation, but on the natural market as well.
Right. Okay.
So they're all getting digital. The soft signage guys probably got on board sooner than others, but now the others are kind of catching on from a design point of view.
Yeah.
Digital kind of changed everything.
Right.
Go back 20 years. To me, I was screen printing maximum 6 colours.
Right.
Now you can. Who cares?
Yeah.
Digital doesn't care whether it's 1 colour or 500 colours.
Right.
You print your photograph, so that can then transfers into the design. The designers now is limitless what they can print. So from the creative point of view, digital changed everything. But yeah, fashion, massive. Silk printing with digital, massive. Cottons, linens, you name it, you can now print it with a digital printer. The only thing that changes is the ink.
Yeah, and the ink is the bit I don't want to get hooked up into, because there are about 8 different technologies, aren't there? Yeah, but really it's dye sublimation or it's direct process.
Correct.
Yeah, and they're no longer what are known as aggressive inks, are they? They used to be aggressive.
No, the advantage of sublimation is it's water-based ink for starters, so much cleaner.
Yeah,
water-based rather than solvent-based ink. So again, an advantage for the guys here is they can start ticking boxes. Are they green? Yeah, they're greener because it's now a water-based ink rather than a solvent-based ink.
That's interesting. So where's it going to end?
It's never going to end.
No.
But the end or the future is that digital is still fairly small in comparison to worldwide production.
Is it?
Conventionally, still by far the biggest. But predictions are, in relative terms, fairly quickly, digital will start to gain and overtake.
Right.
Probably digital is about 5% of worldwide production compared to conventional. Probably in the next 5-10 years, I would not be surprised if digital is starting to overtake as people start to move away from huge, big factories. They need much, much smaller premises.
That's better news for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic because what happens with digital is that you can do smaller numbers, which is good.
Yeah.
You can reduce lead times because people would probably buy textile printed products maybe coming from Asia, India, wherever.
Yeah.
And now it's coming back home. So, there's a lot of printers that probably Brett knows in the garment industry, particularly around Leicester, that are all dye sublimating.
Yeah.
Massive businesses.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, big advantage. They can react to market quickly. Certainly in the fashion industry, that's key. That before, if you were printing in China or Pakistan, okay, the product was cheaper, but the lead times were weeks and weeks from manufacturer to delivery. Whereas now they can't wait; they want it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Literally.
Because the textile market, we kind of lost, didn't we? Leicester, as you rightly say, was very much the UK's focal point for textile printing. But whenever I used to ask questions of it a while ago, when I was first looking into the subject, people used to say to me, "No, we just get it shipped in from China or wherever." And I had Stuart McLaren here with the MIG, and one of his things and his passion is to bring textile printing
keep manufacturing in the UK.
here. Yeah.
There's a big movement. Keep it British, made in Britain, and there's a certain amount of value as well to that, to the name, made in Britain.
Okay.
So people are wanting to print and be seen to be buying a British product.
Well, let's imagine that I'm, a new startup company, or I've got an existing printing business and I'm looking for new revenue streams. People don't wake up in the morning and think, I want to be a textile printer, do they? But they generally, they'll watch this and then they'll get the idea that it's not something that's frightening. What do you offer to, newbies like perhaps, a new startup?
I guess where we can help, my job was working for Hybrid is not just selling machines, it's helping and advising and pointing people in the right direction, whether that be buying a machine or the fabrics or the finishing equipment. We're there to try and point them in the right direction.
Okay.
But what we're finding actually is the guys here who have been doing it probably a long time now from a digital point of view are now thinking, we've got the printer, we've got the heat press, we've got the know-how, they've been doing it, they know how to do it. It's a very short step sideways to then go from soft signage to another product to add value to their business. So it could be, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if in the coming years that they're starting to print not just soft signage, but they're starting to print fashion and interiors because they've got the kit all ready to do it.
Yeah. So you think that companies, maybe the sort of small businesses that are doing the kind of, the simple heat transfer type T-shirts and what you might call giftware and T-shirt and apparel and stag in their hands, they'll
start to move into other products.
Yeah.
A few of them we've been doing, as Malcolm was showing, how to do, and it's kind of just making them aware that it's not just a picture on a wall. Yeah. They can make a cushion, they can make a T-shirt, they can do a mouse mat. So there's many different areas using the same technology, same sublimation technology, but to do anything. So it makes the world is open to them.
The world's your oyster, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's see if there's anybody have any questions. Gentleman over there. I guess I'll take the mic over as I do, as the convivial host.
So I just had a couple of questions. Would you have predicted the kind of shape the textiles industry is in currently 10 years ago in the UK? And also, have you heard of much evidence of manufacturing being reshored back to the UK from the Far East and China on the part of your customers, either due to quality or, as you've touched on, time and delivery issues?
From my point of view, a big yes, certainly to reshoring. Quality, agreed. My wife actually is also in the textile business. A lot of her manufacturing is done in China and Pakistan, but they have huge issues with quality control. Unless they physically send a member of staff out to the mills, they don't know what the quality is until it lands and they check it. Then it's too late. So reshoring is a way of quality control and reacting to the market. I think that's more the key. The speed, the demand is everyone wants to go online, click, and have it tomorrow. It means that you can do that with digital.
Anybody else? Oh, well, I think that just about wraps up our session for this afternoon. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.